right, y'all. So this week we are joined by a very special guest, Miss Madeline Ashton. Pomara Fifth. Hi. I wish we need to put like some clapping sounds in.
Yes.
Yes.
Also, thank you for the Madeline Ashton reference. I do. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. You know, I am so glad that we're getting a chance to sit down and talk today because I just love you so much. I love watching your videos. I love watching you on my television screens. You have such a beautiful spirit about you.
Oh, thank you so much. I know I'm so honored to be here. And, when I came across your live, I was like, oh my, this is content I can get behind. Yes, ma'am. There's a diva. She's talking about Charmed. She's talking about Queens. I was like, well, I live here now. So.
You thought and we're like, well, yes. And that's kind of, I bit my tongue, by the way. That's why I said, well, yeah. So, but I saw you and this was years back. And I remember I followed you and then you followed me back because I was like, Miss Mama is fierce. Miss Ma'am is giving it to us. And then like I saw you got on Drag Race and I was like, wait a minute. My girl is a Rue girl. What is going on?
Yeah, crazy.
How did that feel? Like, how does it feel to be a part of that franchise?
At first, there's this kind of, and which no one really talks about, is this kind of imposter syndrome, and if you don't experience any of that in the first, bits getting off the show, when it all is released, if you don't feel any of that, I think you're a narcissist. I was like, don't say it. Now I'm saying it. I think, everyone, there is a certain degree you get off and you're like, I did that. Mm-hmm. And you've got all these DMs and, it just hits the ground running. And the platform that you streamed it on here in Australia is called Stan. And that's another streaming platform in Australia. And so it was exclusive to Stan. And then so with Stan came their own publicist. And they sort of took you along the journey, and fed you everything, being like, this person wants this, so it was wild. This news program wants to do an interview with you, and you're going on this radio show and this radio show, and then you've got this brand that wants to do, and you're just like, okay, whoa. Right. 2 seconds ago, I was a girl, whirling and twirling up and down a street, for a couple $100, and now it's just like, whoa. So yeah, you do have to really catch up real quick. So and then it took a couple of weeks to really digest it, and then I went, no, I deserve this.
Yeah. Exactly.
No, this feels right.
Right, like this is how it's supposed to be. I'm here.
Yeah. But unfortunately with Australia, it is really small, even though technically Australia's landmass is bigger than the USA. We are still quite small as a country, and those sort of arts aren't really super headline or mainstreamed like you would find in the US.
Right.
There's not enough of it. So it does dwindle soon after. We did all this press and all this sort of stuff, and then you go on tour, and we were really lucky enough to have a tour. We toured to Australia and New Zealand, and it was crazy. It was mayhem, but it was the best kind of mayhem. And I think then it sort of dwindles, but your body is like still in that moment of being like, I want to do more. I want to do more. But you also have to put food on the table and survive and all that sort of stuff. So after it sort of dwindles, you sort of just go back to reality a little bit. And you do your different gigs here and there that might pop up. You might, get an agent that might, screw you over. Right. But these are all learning lessons.
Right.
They're all things to learn from. Yeah. Yeah. I think for every single second I woke up and I was just super thankful.
Yeah.
I don't know who to, but I was just thankful, putting it out there because I was like, I don't know how long this is going to last, but it's changed everything. It's changed everything for me. You know, I know what I want. I know where I want to go, and but God damn it, I will make it happen. You know, it might take a while to get there, but I will make it happen. So you just have fun. And then
Yeah.
after you get off it, it's just about having fun. It's almost like starting drag again. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you've got to have fun with it. And you can't have ego. No ego. There's no
Mm-hmm.
room for ego. And don't get me wrong, everyone has to check themselves a couple of times. You know,
Yeah.
you do have to check yourselves in every situation because sometimes it might get the better of you, whatever the case may be. You know, people might be feeding you certain things that make you think a certain way or whatever. So you do have to check yourself, and there really isn't any room for ego because I will take those big corporate gigs and I will tour around, but I'll also still go back to that small bar
Right.
that I started at, and I will still do a show for a couple $100 because obviously we
Mm-hmm.
don't tip you, so we get paid a bit more to perform. But
Yeah.
you know, I will still. There's just no room for ego at
Mm-hmm.
all
Yeah.
because it's also drag. It's fun.
Right. Especially if you want to evolve, I would think, because you have to be
Mm,
able to critique yourself and say, okay, this
yeah.
is not working, this is working, maybe I should do more of this, less of
Mm,
this. So I mean,
yeah.
you really do have to take the ego out of it.
Yeah, the ego has to go because you do. You have to check yourself at every moment,
Yeah.
you know, and there's never a right time. There's never a time that you're like, oh, I can't do this yet because I'm not ready or
Mm-hmm.
something's not right. You just have to do it. You have to take every single moment. You miss 100% of the opportunities that you don't
Yep.
take.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the loudest, what is it? The squeakiest wheel gets the
It's
oil.
just,
We were just
mm-hmm.
saying this
Yeah,
off
we were just
camera.
talking about.
You know, so you've got to put that back out there,
Yeah.
you know, and sometimes you'll realize, yeah, I shouldn't have done that, but you didn't know,
Mm-hmm.
you know, in hindsight, you wouldn't have known.
Nope, you couldn't have. Everything is like you said, it's a learning experience we take from different things. And I just imagine with you being so young when you got on there, you know, being 19, my God, I can just imagine
Mm.
there was so much to navigate.
Oh, no, how old was I? No, I was.
I was being cute. I was giving you a
Oh,
compliment. I was giving you a
I
compliment.
was
I
like,
was no, I was
I
I
was
was I was
19.
like, I don't want to say it, but I'm giving you a compliment. Saying you're
Yes,
a mere
when I
sprig of a
was,
girl.
yeah, when I was 19, you know, and freshly new to the world. I'm not much older now, really.
Just a
You know, I
year,
can't wait to
maybe a
turn
year.
30. Yeah. Yes. I was like, I wasn't 19. That's me being too literal. Ignore me.
Yeah.
Getting on there at such a young age, being like, oh,
Oh
someone might take advantage of me.
my
Oh,
God.
oh,
You're like, get me out
no.
of here. I'm a celebrity. Please.
Help, someone. Oh, I mean, in reality, I'd probably be like, no, take advantage of me. Go.
Like, do it. Let's go.
Yeah,
I'll
do
do it
it.
right here where
Yeah, yeah,
everyone
yeah.
can see. I don't care.
Yeah. I mean, in drag, you know, it's more about saying yes. You just have to say yes. You know,
Mhm.
I've done some funky gigs where, you know, I performed at funerals. I performed at a wake.
Okay.
Yeah.
What? Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
What does that entail? How do you perform at that kind of event?
When so my last sort of wake that I did,
Mhm.
it was really cute. The year before that, I had done a girl's 21st. She
Okay.
had like a bingo. She wanted me to come and host it with all her friends, so I did.
Mhm.
And then the grandmother actually really loved it. We got along really well. And then I think it was the year later, she'd actually put it in her will that she wanted me to come back to perform at her wake because she knew
Okay.
she was dying.
Yeah.
Um, and so she had put it in there that it was a request that I'd come back and perform. So I was like, at this point, I'm basically the family's drag queen.
Right.
You know, I perform at all their events, all their milestones. But you know, she had a favorite song. I performed that. I went around and just spoke with people and guests. You know, and I think it's very different because when you know it's coming, you
Yeah.
can digest it better. You can prepare for it better. So I think that's what the mood was. You know, people were just like, we're honored to have had her in our
Mhm.
lives. it was more of like a celebration of life. So I think, yeah, it was good to sort of keep those spirits up, and she wanted it, so we're not
Yeah.
going to argue. I'm not going to
Right.
argue with that.
All right. Like, I'm gonna be there if that's what you wanted, baby. If it's in your
Yeah,
will, I'm good.
I
That's
can't argue with the will.
beautiful. No, no,
Mm.
that's beautiful. I wasn't expecting that because I don't know what I had like pictured in my head, but that's I think that's one of my favorite things about like drag artists is the way you get to
Yeah,
connect with people and the way you
yeah,
get to like have a story like that where someone in you were so impactful in that person's life that in their
yeah.
death they wanted you to help celebrate them. That's
Yeah.
my God, that is beautiful.
It is like I found, if you had asked me maybe 6 years ago about, my perception on the public and
Mhm.
drag queens, it would have been a very different response. They used to shit me to no end. They used to just shit me because there was this level of like almost disrespect, and like we would just play things,
Yeah,
that people could poke and prod at, and I hated that.
yeah,
And then it wasn't until I got onto Drag Race and then I finished, came out of Drag Race, and especially went on tour and we're doing meet and greets. And I was like, okay, no, I've just been missing this.
right.
You know, I've been seeing the wrong people or being around the wrong people.
Hmm.
There are people out here who have a genuine love and care and respect for the art form that you're bringing them.
Right.
So I think that really changed my perception, and I was like, no, I actually love people. And I
Yeah.
always have. I've always had day jobs centered around people and enacting change. I was a nurse, and then I was part of the team that set up all the COVID clinics here in our state during COVID. And then I went and started up a branch for like just indigenous people and getting them vaccinated and protected and keeping them safe and all of that. So, and then going on to working in
Hmm.
corrective services,
Hmm.
and then now at child protection.
Yeah.
I've always been people centered,
Yeah.
but I think I was peopled out at that point. And then now it's
Right.
just sort of given me a new perspective, and you realize you realize the beauty in the world, and it also comes with age and growing up. I
Yeah.
think,
Yeah.
I think now that I'm now that I've turned 20, um,
Hmm.
you realize you're mentally, a more
Yeah.
mature, and you're
Yeah.
like, people are beautiful. There are some messy things in the world, and I
Hmm.
think the world will always be like that.
Yep.
To go through what's that word?
Ebbs and flows.
Ebbs and flows. Thank you.
Hmm.
Majority of people, I think, are beautiful. I think
Yeah.
humankind is great. People are
Yes.
great.
Yes.
People interaction is great.
Absolutely. Oh my God. That's one of my favorite. Like, I love interacting with people, and I think you do such an amazing job at that. And I just want to say, like, how amazing it is to hear all these things that you've done as a nurse, helping to set up that. Like, my mind is just sitting here blown. This is, I, I think, because so much of how we see other people is through our own perception of what we have going on in
Mm.
our lives, and we don't take time
Yeah,
to see what other people have done. And so getting to
yeah.
know that about you like makes you even more one of my favorite people in this world, because that's like that means so much in helping. I'm not Australian, so I don't know much about the indigenous community, but I do know that it's not, they don't receive fair treatment. Like, even I know that. And
Yeah,
so just to hear the advocacy and the way that you put yourself out there to help is, I mean, it's amazing. And
for
I can,
sure.
I can really relate, because in some ways, not to everything, but I was a foster care worker for
Ah,
many years. And
yeah.
so when you were saying that, what that made me think about is how we see the worst of what
Mm,
happens in the world, and
hmm.
everyone else gets to close their eyes and pretend like it doesn't happen. But people like me, people like you, we see the down and dirty of it all, and you come out of it, like you said, like being peopled out. You come out of it and
Yeah.
you're just like, if I never
Oh,
talk to
it
these
can
people
tire
again, I'm
you
fine.
out if you let it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You will be burned out in a hot second. So that's why I'm
Mm.
so glad to see you pouring into yourself and allowing yourself to be you and to be seen and be loved and be harad. And that's just what, that's why I wanted to like have you on. I know I am a growing channel and a growing brand, but it means a lot to me that you are talking to me, but I also hope you know that I just want to share you with everybody because I think that highly of
Oh,
you.
thank you.
Like it's just, oh my God, that is so beautiful.
Thank you. I mean, look, we could sit here and we could talk about this stuff for hours because, like, I
Mhm.
mean, you're also great. Like, the way I think you engage your audience as well. And I'm not saying yes to everyone. I'm not saying people are not asking me left, right, and center to be on their shows, but you have to you have to find something that you connect with. And I think watching you and how you engage, and even in your posts and stuff like that, you come across as a very genuine, heartfelt, amazing person who is
Oh,
quite smart and articulate and
oh,
kind and warm. That I think one of the big things that sort of drew me also to watching your channel is because you are captivating to watch. You have a
oh,
great essence about you that I think will go very far, as far as you want it to, because I think you've got it. Like you're genuine. And I think the internet needs that. We lack so many genuine people, and we
yeah,
lack so many people that will just be honest and warm and be themselves, and I know, and everyone knows, sort of the internet is like.
yeah.
Some people, you fake it till you make it, or some people put on like I guess their performing self, which
Mm-hmm.
we all have. We all have a
Yeah.
performing self. But I think when you're able to sort of let people in,
Mm-hmm.
and you just have that connectivity, and I think that is not something that is you don't. I feel you don't do it in a way that is forced or something that you've learnt. I think it's a natural ability that you have, and when it's natural like that, I think that is what draws people.
Oh
Because you can't
God.
teach that. It's just
Yeah.
either you have it or you don't, and you
Yeah.
got it.
My God. Thank you. I don't know. Oh, I'm okay. I promise I'm not gonna cry. That means a lot to me for so many reasons. How do you deal with like connecting with so many people? Does it get overwhelming, or do you just kind of like talk and whatever happens happens?
Look, I mean, look, there's definitely a side to me that is easily overwhelmed. I'm severely
Mm-hmm.
ADHD. I have my quirks. I have my things that I've dealt with, and I have my diagnoses.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's something that you love, and like, this isn't like, oh, I love working at my office job. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's such a great place to work. No, this is like, you found it,
Yes.
and drag is it for me. It's
Mm-hmm.
what I want to do for,
Yeah.
like, and I think being now, I believe things come at the right moment,
Mm-hmm.
and this is the right moment. I think things are coming for me because I wouldn't have been ready a couple of years ago, but I think now, as it's happening, I'm ready for it. I love it. I want to talk to everyone and anyone, and the only thing that divides us is land. That's the only
Yeah.
thing that's dividing us, is the place where we live.
Yep.
You know, but you strip that back, there's not much else that really divides us.
Mm-hmm.
We all have the same drive, the same, emotions. We're all human.
Yep.
you know there's no I think finding out more about different people and their experiences, it's almost like going overseas. I don't go overseas to see the tourist attractions. I love going to places that people just live.
Yep.
I
Yes.
love watching people just live and be, and what their world looks like, and how different it
Mm-hmm.
is from me. I think talking to people is a great way to do that. You find out more about people, you find out their stories. Like you said, you see them online, you don't really get to understand everything that makes up them. You
Mm-hmm.
know, everything, their story. You don't necessarily get to find that out all the time. So I love finding that out. I think it's really special. You get to find out really different things about people and what
Yeah.
makes them different. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, that's see, I love it. I love it. That's definitely the one of the best parts about like coming together. And that is why Charmed brought me close to so many people. Like I've met
yeah,
amazing friends because of this show. I followed you or ended up following you and you followed me like because I was talking about that show. And it's just it amazes me how something that I thought was only like over here is
yes.
worldwide like this. And
Mm.
so what was your introduction to Charm? Did you watch it when you were little or were you an adult?
You know what? I'm just going to stop you right there and
Okay.
firstly say that was a brilliant segue. That was a brilliant segue. Yes, ma'am. I was like, oh, seamless. I love that.
She's a professional.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, I love that. I was like, yeah. I was like, oh, I see what she's doing. That. Um, oh, so yeah, Charmed here. Charm was quite big here, I think, especially in the 90s and early 2000s. My first introduction, I believe, was my sister. My sister, it was on Channel 10 here of a night time. And, I started watching it with her, same as Buffy. It was sort of on around the same time. So we started watching that together. And I was like, oh, I love this. And I grew up and I think in my circles, I'm from a very, really small town here in Australia. I live an hour away from Sydney. There wasn't many people in at that time that were also necessarily into Charmed and
Right.
Buffy and stuff like that. They weren't necessarily into that, or my circles weren't either. I loved it. I couldn't stop watching it. I watch it backwards, frontwards, in
Like you
Spanish.
just
I
want to
don't
take
care.
it
Like,
in. Just
I
take in the
loved
show
it
and everything.
because I think as well, watching both of those shows, it's not just what the surface is. It's not just three sisters that live in a house that have powers.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just that. And I was saying the other day actually that they don't make shows like that anymore.
No.
Where I just rewatched Buffy, and I was saying to my sister like they don't make shows like this anymore, where you get so much nuance. In this show, it's not
Mm-hmm.
just about that. You strip away the powers, and it's real people experiencing real problems,
Mm-hmm.
and then you've got the added, pressure of having to save the goddamn world,
Right.
all the
Right.
goddamn time. I can barely do my taxes, let alone have some random demon pop up, and I'm like, well, sorry, give me a sec, you know.
I'm
I
finishing my order at
goddamn it,
Starbucks. My God, let
yeah,
me get my
yeah,
latte.
yeah. And I think which you do see in shows like this, in certain episodes and stuff where they're just trying to do life and they're
Mm,
like for God's sake.
that's such a good
And
point.
yeah, like, I think especially in like the later seasons of Charmed, and they're just like, oh my God, like, okay, we're getting over it.
Right.
I think in that episode where they meet the Fate, or they meet is it she's the Fate, I think.
The Muse?
And she
No.
comes down, and she offers them a life without magic.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Okay.
I can't remember the name of the
It's
episode. And if,
which way now? Which way now? And
which
the
way now?
Angel of
Yes,
Destiny comes down and is
Angel of
like,
Destiny. Thank you.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yes. And she comes down and says, you can do this and this and this. I get it.
Yeah.
I sort of get that episode where they're just, I think back then when I was watching it as a younger person, I was like, what are you doing? Why would you even
Yeah.
consider that? You
Yeah.
idiot.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, as an older person now and an adult in the real world, you're
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, I get that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
life is hard enough. And I think
Mm-hmm.
rewatching shows like this that you've loved as a childhood. Also, I realized that you asked me one simple question, and I've now gone on a tangent.
You go
I'm
on as
very
many
sorry.
tangents as you want. You go on all the tangents you want, baby. We love talking over here. You're fine.
Oh, I love that. Well, in that case,
Here's the
you
microphone.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, it is crazy. It's crazy that you see that, most people don't understand the difference, or understand that there's a lot of different layers in these shows.
Yeah, yeah. Because that's what I try. One of the things I try to focus on in my content is like helping people sort of understand the deeper whys of things. Because
Mm.
I hate when I'm talking about something and someone's just like, it's just a TV show. It's not that deep. It's like, well, yeah, that's why we're talking about the show almost 30 years later. It is that deep.
I'll tell you. It is deep.
It is. Like, it literally
It is
is.
deep. Yeah. How dare you? Okay, Kevin. All right. You go back to your sports cars. You go, but you go. You know,
Go
go
be
back
macho
to bed.
somewhere else. This
Yeah,
isn't for
go
you.
back to bed in your mum's basement. All right. Leave the divas to talk about their show. Thank you.
Exactly. This is for us. You go watch the Raiders and the Lost Ark or whatever football team
Yeah,
it is. I don't know.
exactly. Just because your emotional range is that of a banana doesn't mean that everyone else is. Okay? Thank you so
Exactly.
much.
They don't get it. And it is what you said makes me think about it in a whole different way is like we feel like we have the weight of the world on our shoulders, but they literally do because they actually have to save the world. And so
Yeah.
that does add a lot of a whole other layer, I guess I hadn't really thought about. And
Yeah.
that's what I love about talking about this show. Oh my god, I love that kind of stuff. Like I got burned out sort of with what we were talking about earlier with getting burned out with people.
Yeah.
That's where I was with this show for a while because I've been talking about it for years. I have this renewed interest in it because I can see so many ways that it crosses over with other franchises, with other people, with other lives, and the way that we all interpret it so differently. And there's always something new to see and learn. So, listen, I'm
Yeah.
telling you, there's always a
No, it's
lesson.
so true.
Mm-hmm.
You start watching it again and you're like, how did I miss that? You
Mm-hmm.
know, or seeing it from different eyes, seeing it where you are in the world right now,
Mm-hmm.
and even the problems that you've got going on in life right now, you can always relate to these shows.
Yeah.
And I think I just watched an episode of like Buffy, and she's simply just going for a loan at the bank,
Yeah.
and a demon comes crashing through, and you can just see it. She just goes,
Mm-hmm.
"Can I
Mm-hmm.
borrow this knife? Like, can I borrow these scissors?"
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so cavalier about it, but she's like,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to like get on with life.
I'm trying to
Like, and
get
I get
denied for a
that.
loan. I'm trying to get
Yeah. Like, and I get that. Like, how do you get on with life and how do you do life when you've got something that's thrust upon you that you never asked for? And I think we can all relate to that, as people of color, as people of different sexualities,
yeah.
we have got something that unfortunately at the moment in this current climate divides us.
Yes.
And we didn't ask for it, let alone don't want it,
Right.
we
Right.
can't help it. But unfortunately, this is the fabulous cross that we bear.
Exactly. The beautiful rhinestoned sequins cross that we bear. And
Yes.
that is such a relevant topic because it's kind of like with Buffy and with Charm. People have no idea what's actually going on with them. And so they see
Mm,
them one way and they're thinking like, okay, why are you always so upset or flighty or sad or whatever?
mm,
Little do they know, like you said, little moments of their lives are getting interrupted. And with the way of the world right now, with what you're saying, people look at us and think we are just choosing to be mad. We're choosing to make a
mm,
fuss. We just want,
mm.
we want to make everything into a problem. But
Yeah.
we literally, our entire existence is not only being questioned, it's
Mm,
being brutalized, it is being
mm,
trying to be erased. Like,
mm-hmm.
and we have to fight like hell just to exist and be. And so
Yeah.
everything for us literally is the bigger picture. It is big. It is huge. It is something that we need to be loud and make a statement about.
Yeah. And I get it, people are like, you hear, especially I see a bit more of it with the right-winged people that are, more like, all they do is whinge and they complain. They want this and they're never happy and they want this and this and this. And it's like, because we are trying to catch up on years
Mm-hmm.
of things that you have been given.
Yes.
You don't have to fight for anything in your life. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, trivial stuff maybe, smaller stuff maybe, but big life stuff, you've never had to fight for it.
Right.
You've
Right.
never had things thrown out of a car at you as you just simply walking down the street. You've never been hurled insults after insults as you're simply trying to go and buy milk.
Mm-hmm.
Going out of the house, I was saying this the other day. One of my friends was like, how do you know? We were talking about something, and I said, oh, you can always exit this way. I think we're in a cinema,
Yeah.
and we're like, if we ever had to run for it, I said, there's exits there, and there's also one behind the curtain no one knows about. And they're like, how do you know all this? And I was like, I am a gay person
Mm-hmm.
that lives in the world. I'm a drag
Mm-hmm.
queen. I'm a queer person that lives in the world that we
Mm-hmm.
live in at right at this moment.
Mm-hmm.
I know my exits.
Exactly.
And that is something that I think is inherent to a lot of queer people of different faiths, and all of that. We have this sort of trained eye on how do we get out of a situation? How do we
Mm-hmm.
appease a situation?
Yeah.
How do we lighten a situation by changing our tone, our dynamic, our wording, our phrasing?
Mm-hmm.
How do we assimilate by changing our wording, our phrasing, our
Mm-hmm.
stance, our posture, our eye contact,
Yep.
not too much, but not too little. You
Yep.
know, you know,
Yep.
we have in inherently trained ourselves to do that because we have to force ourselves to fit into someone else's world.
Yep.
It is the cross that we bear. We didn't ask for it, we
Mm-hmm.
didn't want it, but
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, that's how it goes. And I think you find that, in Charmed, they sort of realize they have a mission, they have a duty, they didn't ask for it, they don't always want it, but that's how it goes.
Yep.
That's just how it is.
That's
You
it.
know, it's
Mm-hmm.
not fair.
You do
Neither
it.
is life.
You do it. You
You do it.
smile. You get through it, and you
That's
just
it.
try to find some modicum of happiness while you're there.
Yeah.
And
And I think that's why I like connecting with people around the world. You hear different struggles, you hear different things, and they're all relatively the same sort of struggle. Some are obviously, I'm
yeah.
not saying, comparatively, we're
Right.
not
Right. Right.
comparing.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah,
know what you
but
mean.
a lot of people do have far bigger struggles, far bigger
Mm-hmm.
struggles. You do find that you can connect with people and share happiness
Yeah.
and share love and kindness because that is also free. And I think it's those moments that I really enjoy connecting with people as well, is that, finding out different things that you connect with and what make you happy, and,
Yeah.
all that sort of stuff, and all that mushy
Mm-hmm.
gross stuff, I
yeah.
think is also worth it, and I think that you find that in the shows that
Yeah.
they do that, their bond,
Yeah.
their bond is really close, even though they fight like sisters, their bond is really close.
Right.
And they love each other and they have loved ones, and then, as the story progresses and there's kids involved,
Mm-hmm.
so it's all those small moments, I think, as well, that you find within the show that keep it worth it for them.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that's why, for me, some of my favorite episodes are the ones where their issues kind of go over that edge of being a nuisance and they end up being
Mm,
like super life threatening. So, like
mm,
Charmed and Dangerous, where they fight the source for the first time. And
yeah.
it's like that episode, I swear to God, every single time I watch it, even though I've seen it 1,000 times, I'm like, are one of them gonna die? Because like the
Yeah.
tension is so thick, and
Yeah.
it's the culmination of everything that they've been through. And
Yeah.
you get those kind of episodes where their lives are just completely, they just grind to a halt. And
Yeah.
those are my favorite kind of episodes.
Mm.
But do you have like a favorite episode overall that you just like, that's your go-to that you will sit down and watch?
I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but
Mhm.
because it's so hard to pick a favorite. How do you pick a
Yeah.
favorite?
Yeah.
But it's a shared number one up there. It's the one where Prue actually gets the empathy from the
The
guy in
pastor.
the house, the one that tricked her and gave her the,
Mhm.
all this
Primrose
sort
and
of stuff,
pastor.
which Primrose Impact, thank you
Yep.
so much.
Mhm.
See, you say it, I remember it. I'm
Exactly.
like, but I love that because I think it's also a really big shout out to women,
Hmm.
especially in that episode, because you see the way that Prue is struggling at first, and she is in so much agony and pain
Yeah.
and doesn't know what to do,
Yeah.
and then it's not really until she learns to grasp it,
Hmm.
you know, that you see her, she's like, no, no, like I can still hear all of it. I can still feel all of it,
Yeah.
but I'm redirecting that and I'm
Hmm.
making it my strength. And I
Hmm.
think that is such a testament to womanhood because women are like that. Women are inherently different. I'm going to say it. They are superior. I think they are the superior sex, and I
Hmm.
think it's a testament to womanhood because she's able to take that strength, and you think of everything else that women go through that
Yeah.
men don't have to go through, or non biological
Hmm.
men
Hmm.
or women, as well.
Yeah.
Not forgetting
Yeah.
our trans brothers and sisters. Women and trans women and all of that, they have to go through different,
Yeah.
far
Yeah.
different things
Different
than,
struggles and approaches to their identity,
yeah,
who they are, how they fit into the world. And
exactly.
yeah. Yeah.
And
Hmm.
then you've also got the added bonus of women giving birth and doing
Yeah.
like creating an entire child. I think if cis men had to do that, I think they'd die.
Oh,
They,
absolutely,
honey,
baby.
they'd die. They would be like, I can't. Like watching cis men do the pregnancy simulator is one
Hmm.
of my favorite thing in the world because I'm like,
You
you
can't
are
do it, can you, baby? You can't
you
do
child, you can't do it. Ooh, I think it's a testament to them. Like you look at mothers, sisters, older
Yeah.
siblings, and I was
Hmm.
raised by an army of women,
Yeah.
and seeing how they work and how they function, and I think that for me, this is what I'm talking about when people don't get it. Like it is
Yeah.
that deep
It's very deep.
because it's
Hmm.
relatable. It
Yes.
is relatable.
And I
Um,
think you said something that I just want to just real quick that I think people take for granted when you're a queer, especially young boy. Um, we do tend to spend a lot more time with mothers or female
mhm,
cousins or friends or whatever. And so we get a chance to see that struggle up front, even though we may not have a name for it or a word or be even
mhm,
consciously aware of it. We do get a chance to see it directly, but that also gives us the opportunity to see the beauty in women and to see the
mm,
strength and resilience that they have. I think there's such
mm,
a beauty in being vulnerable and being able to
mm,
cry and express emotion and be mad or
mm.
be this and still come back to yourself,
Yeah,
because that is something that cis men don't understand. The concept of
yeah,
like, baby, just cry, just
yeah.
it's okay to
Just
cry, you know
just cry.
we
Yeah,
just shot Lassie, you can cry
yeah.
about that, it's
You can,
okay.
yeah. Bambi's mom died in the fire. You can cry.
Yes.
It's
Now, okay.
okay.
I'm from a very small town in the country, so I would probably eat her, but you can still cry about it
You
as
can
you're eating
still
her.
cry. You can cry after you finish eating her.
You're like when
Whatever.
eating her leg, like, oh my god, this poor
Oh.
baby.
Oh. Oh.
No, but that's true. Like I understand that because I think in what you're saying about that episode too, it's so significant that she controls it. Like, yeah, the
Yeah.
pastor is able to talk to her and say, this is how you X, Y, and Z, but ultimately it's up to her to control that power. It's up to
Yeah.
her. And that definitely is the beauty of Charmed, is we're watching these
Mhm.
women be powerful, but we're also watching them lean on each other. I think that's the
Yeah.
other part that people take for granted because it's a sisterhood, but
Mm.
we're watching them have to lean on each other to survive. And that
Yeah.
teaches them to lean on each other as sisters, and it helps to heal a broken relationship that they have.
Yeah.
So this show just has so many different layers to it, and I just wish
It
that people
does.
would give it that love that it deserves.
It deserves it. I
Mm-hmm.
think as well, a really good one as well is like, I love the finales of the last season as well. I love those because
Mm-hmm.
I'm a gay. I love a big fight scene, and like, oh, get him, girl, get him.
Get them, girl.
I think also as well, like the first like maybe two episodes of season four, Prue's died,
Mm-hmm.
and watching the dynamic completely shift, and Piper is now the eldest.
Yeah.
Well, for the first beat there, it's just Piper and Phoebe, and
Mm-hmm.
I think I don't remember watching that for the very first time, but I remember, I can always think like if you didn't know, if you were just watching this for the very first time and you didn't know, you'd be like, what, what?
What's
Like,
going
what's going to
on?
happen next?
Yeah.
You're waiting for them to go back in time. You're waiting for a saving grace. You're waiting for something to happen. You're like, oh. And, in that episode, I think you see Piper being so going just through all those emotions. And then you sort of get to the end and you realize,
Yeah.
like, she's not coming back. Like,
Yeah.
no, this is it.
Oh,
Like,
that's so
that's,
true. Mm-hmm.
and it's I think also you grieve almost with the show because you're
Yeah.
like, oh, it's that denial part of grief that the audience is going, no, 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 there has to be something else.
Right.
We'll go back in time or you do something, and then the episode ends and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, wait,
Mm-hmm.
what?
Yep. Like we're really about to go into another episode and she's still not back. And it's like
Yeah.
when Paige comes there for the first time and they shake hands and you're kind of like, oh, okay. So we're
Oh,
not gonna, is this how they're gonna go back in time? Like there's
yeah.
you have those questions in your mind because you're so used to it. And
Yeah.
we just need to give a quick shout out to Holly Marie Combs because baby, the way that mama put that emotion behind that, listen,
Yeah.
Holly, girl, I got
Mm.
something in my other hand, but I'm giving you claps. I'm giving you claps
Do
because
not. I love a girl. First of all, I don't know what it is about women and actresses with three names. I
mm-hmm.
love them. Holly Marie Combs, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Jennifer Love Hewitt. I love them.
Mm-hmm.
But Holly Marie Combs in Charmed in general, the the acting, mama. The
Mm-hmm.
acting. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, how are you not in cinemas? How are you
Yes.
not
Yes.
winning Golden Globes? How are you
Mm-hmm.
not in these big movies? Have you
Mm-hmm.
turned? I don't know what's going on for her. Maybe she turned them down. I don't know. Maybe she
Right.
didn't want to. But
Right.
like the act,
It
I can't.
yes. Yes.
She's
Yes.
just phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And my girl was giving it everything that she had, and it just I think that adds such a layer to it. And there's a one scene that always sticks out to me, and I think it's in Hell Had No Fury. And it's not a big scene. It's not the big
Yes.
like leave me. It's not that. Which did I have to
Ugh.
do that? No, I didn't, but I did it anyway.
But I
Um
love that you did.
when she says that it's like her and Phoebe are talking and it's quiet, it's early but late, and Prue was always the first
Yes.
one up and the last one down. I
Yeah.
just think that just speaks to what people actually experience. Like
Yeah.
the way that you don't hear those footsteps coming down the stairs anymore, the way that you're so used to her already having the coffee ready, the way
Mm,
those little things that people don't think about because they're so focused on like the big aspect of loss. And the fact
mm,
that they were able to bring that to life in that scene, it just makes it,
mm.
I think, that much more real for us as viewers.
Yeah, because that is something universal that we all share. We
Mm-hmm.
all grieve,
Mm-hmm.
unless you're a natural born sociopath and you don't have the complex emotional range to do that. But
Well,
um,
yes.
Well, yeah, but no, we grieve. We all
Hmm.
grieve, and I think that scene is also really directed beautifully as well because it's silent.
Yes.
And it
Yes.
has those silences in there where you're just like, it's just you two
Mm-hmm.
now in
Mm-hmm.
this big house. Even the moment that goes, is it Leo that takes Piper to the cemetery, orbs her to the cemetery in
Yes,
front
to
of
the crypt.
Prue's
Mm-hmm.
to the
Mm-hmm.
crypt, and
Yep.
she sees Prue's name,
Yep.
and she just loses her shit at her. And the way
Yes.
that Paige tells her, like, it's okay to be mad
Yeah.
at her.
Listen,
Like, and then just that scene, you're just like, oh, that is strong. That is
it is.
powerful.
And
Powerful.
that's why I might be a sociopath because I laugh because I like to make things up in my head. And so every time I watch it, I like exaggerate the way that they say things because I was an insane child apparently. And so like all I can hear in my mind is Paige just going, "When my parents died, I was alone and I hated them for it." And I was like, "Did you?
Don't,
Did you
don't.
really?"
That's how she says it.
I was
Like,
alone and I hated
why is
them
it,
for it. It is
like, why is it
okay
so,
to hate Prue. And I'm just like,
yeah,
I know
why are
that's
we
right.
breathing so heavy? Like, what? Huh? Like, what are we doing?
My girl was going through it,
Anyway,
okay? She was reliving her mama's wig getting snatched off her head, which is a story for a different day. Because that head with the wig went that way in the car. Anyway, but
yeah.
that's neither here nor is it there. But no, yeah, that is I was alone. I said, no, I was alone. Jesus. I said, okay, you are the winner of this week's acting challenge.
All right, come on, breath. You know, we said put breath into it. The director said, "Can you do it with more breath?"
And
And she said, "Yeah,
she said,
can.
well,
Watch this."
yeah, I can.
Yeah, she said, "Watch it. Watch." Yeah, she said, "Action." You know,
And
yeah,
I know people love Holly's cry. I mean, because Holly is a crier, she can cry. But
yeah.
the way I always hear when she falls, after she does like this, she lets out like this screech, and then she
Mm.
falls down, and all I hear is now. Did she actually do this? I don't know, but when she falls down, all I hear is ah 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 ah, and like I don't know. I'm telling you,
No,
I was
no, because
deranged.
I was just about to do the same thing. Because that's all she does is go ah 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 ah.
She's like, no, no. First off, the fact that Leo is like, it's okay. Leo!
Shut your damn mouth, Leo. Don't get me
Just,
started on Leo. Leo
okay.
is a villain, but anyway.
Oh, this
Um,
is a Leo hate club bonus
I
episode
know.
coming soon because my God. Anyway, I'm not gonna start because this is a beautiful experience that we're having, and I don't want to sully it. Uh,
Mm,
I will say that it is so beautiful learning about the way that people from other places, because it's always so interesting to me, like when I say foreign countries, because to you I'm from a foreign country, and so I've
mm,
had to learn to kind of like process that. And so I know that Charmed is like big here, and we've kind of talked about like what it's like there. And I wanted
mm,
to go back to something you said, because you said you're from a very small town.
mm.
So, how has it been for you now that you kind of have that outlet to talk about it, whether it be online or meeting other people?
It's so weird because there are so many, and this has always been I wouldn't call it a problem, but this has always been like a characteristic of mine that
Mhm.
I I have so many things and so many thoughts that
Mhm.
and so many things that I want to talk about. Like I love to just shoot the shit with people. I don't know
Mhm.
if you know what that saying means, right?
I do.
That's
Yes, yes, I
okay, good.
do.
I was like, that's not just an Australian term, is it? I love to just discuss with people, but there are so many different things that I want to talk about, and it just never happens. It never gets around to it. That's
Mhm.
why I was saying to you off camera, I waited 11 years for this moment because
Yes.
to talk about, my favorite things and in doing my favorite thing,
Mhm.
it's amazing, you know, and there's a whole backstory about my name, my family
Yes, I
that
have been
tie
wanting to
into
ask you
Charmed.
that so bad. I forgot. Like, I want to know so bad how your name connects to it because I remember you talking about it one time, but I didn't get a chance to follow up on it. So, listen, I'm here for it whenever you are. If you want to explain to us where your name comes from, listen. My ears are open. They're
So,
covered, but they're open.
so 11 years ago, and I was trying to choose my drag name, and I had rules. I didn't care what it was, but I had rules as to what I didn't want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want a pun because
Okay.
everyone at the time had puns,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, no, I'm not doing puns. Everyone's got a pun. Someone else might eventually take it.
Yeah.
I want something that no one's going to want.
Yeah.
You know.
So I would take your name. Let me go get the
No, thank you.
copyright
Oh,
papers
that
done.
was it.
Okay.
Thank you. Well, you can have it. You know, I wanted that. I wanted something that was unique, something that
Right.
other people weren't going to have, and
Mm-hmm.
I knew it needed to start with a P
Mm.
because Charmed was my favorite show. I wanted to be the
Mm-hmm.
fifth sister,
Mm-hmm.
and then I was like, that actually kind of all ties in because 5 is my favorite number. It follows me everywhere. My birthday. I'm born on the 15th of the 5th. Um, you know, I'm one of 5 siblings. You know, every house I lived at growing up was a 5. You know, there's 5 years between me and my sister. There's 25 years between me and my mum. You know, there's just 5s are everywhere. You know,
Right.
kind of just felt right. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and my friend at the time was actually sitting, and was like, "What about the street you used to live at as a child?" And so
Oh.
I was like, "Pomara."
Oh.
Pomara Fifth. And so I was like, and that ties in with the P. Like, you know,
Yeah.
I could be the 5th sister,
Yeah.
Pomara Fifth. You
Oh
know,
my
so it
God.
all just, yeah, so it all just ties in.
Oh my God. You are the fifth Hallowell sister. And
Okay.
y'all heard it here. Oh
Well,
my
it
God.
was originally going to be Pomara Hallowell, and I thought, no, that's too on the nose.
All right.
Um,
Right. Right.
so I thought, no, 5th, you know, it's nuanced enough that it's not like, you're like, you know, you can tell that's like an entertainer name, you know,
Mm-hmm.
that's not a real person name.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I thought that
Wow.
works.
So you're the Beyonce of drag because you know Beyonce loves the number 4. So you're the
Hello.
Beyonce of drag.
Hello.
Okay.
You said it. Hey, I'm not going to argue with you. You said
Mm-mm.
it.
Mm-mm. You've been crowned officially. You are the Beyonce of drag. I am the Tina Knowles, and we're gonna just
Yes,
go from
ma'am.
there. Baby,
All
listen,
right.
because Miss Tina eats.
Mama, Miss Tina eats.
I,
And the
I,
mug. I was like, Miss Tina,
do you hear
up in
me?
here with the mug.
Miss Tina said, baby,
Hello.
listen. Miss Tina said, baby,
Yeah,
listen. This is my
yeah, yeah.
birthday, and I'm not gonna come up
It's,
in here looking like some of y'all do on your birthday, and we'll just leave it
yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah.
She said,
Yeah, yeah,
she said, I came to do something, not just stand in the corner. I said, okay,
yeah.
I know that's
Yeah.
right.
Yes. I know. I was like, all right, pop off, Miss Tina. Like, you know who
That
you are.
part.
You know who your family is.
Exactly.
Pop off. Um, but yeah, so that's sort of like how my name, you know, so when
Yeah.
because people, that was the number one question when I got off Drag Race was people were like, what is your name? You
Yeah.
know, and I remember Courtney Act reached, you know, just DM'd me and was like, hey, I'm doing a podcast with Willem and Alaska.
Yeah.
Can I just ask you really quickly, like, what does your name mean? And I was like, oh, yeah, yeah, like, you know, just say this. And I just wrote, I think, something really short. You know, it was the
Mm-hmm.
street
Mm-hmm.
address when I grew up. You know,
Yeah.
and that was always the response I gave
Mm-hmm.
because, in actual fact, there was far more nuance. You know, there's so many other
Yeah.
things that were responsible for me being
Mm-hmm.
Pomara Fifth.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I couldn't waffle on about that because people would be like, "Oh my fucking god, it's just a name." Like,
Like,
all
girl,
right,
you started talking about this at like 10 a.m. and it's 4 p.m. What's going on?
yeah. Like, and we're just discussing. We haven't even got off your name yet. So, um, so I thought, you know, I'm just going to give them the abridged version, and one day
Yeah.
I'll explain. So,
Oh, I feel so honored that I get to be the first person that you explain the whole thing to.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Like,
And even so much, so I this is also a bit of a deep story.
take your time. You do what you need to do.
Yeah, don't mind me. Don't mind me. Just waffling. Um, talking about myself. Um, but I had been going through surrogacy. I know a lot of people know this. But I've always wanted to be a father. I want to
Yeah.
be a parent. Um, so I started going through surrogacy. Didn't work out, but
Okay.
I was like, oh, like, okay, I know the names that I wanted because I've had my two children's names picked out. That's assuming I'll have two. That's
Yeah.
assuming I'll have any.
Yeah.
Um, but I've had them picked out since I was about 17, and
Mm-hmm.
they've always stayed in the notes on my app, on my phone.
Yeah.
Um, and so I was like, if I have a girl, I always loved the name Willow.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So
That's
I want
beautiful.
my girl to be named Willow. And
Mm-hmm.
I said, if I have a boy, it 100%, like, undoubtedly will be Wyatt.
Oh, that's so cute. Oh my God. Oh, that is
And I've
Wyatt is
never
a cute
actually,
name.
this is actually, you got the scoop. This is because no one knows this. The only two people on this planet that know that are my mom and my sister.
Oh my
So,
God. Now, do you want me to take this out? Do you want me to
no,
leave it in? Okay.
leave it in. That's fine.
Okay. Okay. I know. I just
Yeah.
wanted to make sure before we go any further. Oh my God. Okay. That I do. That's beautiful. I love the fact that you kept them with you because it's so easy to like you come up with stuff like that and you forget about it, and then one day, like
Yeah.
30 years later, you're like, "Wait, I forgot this was gonna be." I love the fact that you keep up with it, and it keeps it alive,
Yeah.
and it keeps it as more than just like a hope. It's a vision.
Yeah. And it Charmed, Buffy, these shows were, like I've said earlier, they're one of a kind. Like
Mm-hmm.
you you don't get shows like this anymore. They are purely, I can't get my words out. They're purely one of a kind shows that just had so much go into it,
Yeah.
just about even human life,
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
entertainment factor that I think that's why they've lived on for so long.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we won't speak about it, but they did try it with the Charmed reboot, and I was like,
Well, I.
oh,
Well, okay.
are we
I
gonna differ in opinion, please?
This is
I
our
love
first
this.
fight. This is our first.
This
It's
is
not
our
a
first
fight.
fight. I
This.
love this for us. Okay, let me hit the vape real quick before we get into it, because
Okay.
I'm like, all right, because we've agreed on everything up until this point, and I'm so here for that.